Hello, navigators. Welcome to yet another episode of Navigating Life with Viwe. Yes, we're back. We are back, Sanbona, guys. Sanbona eThekwini. Hello, Johannesburg. Hello, ngapha eKapa, molweni engcobo. Siyanibona eMonti. Guys, we are here. We're back. And thank you so much for keeping us talking. Please do not forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. And wherever you are, tea conversations at work, please just share. Spread the word. Tell the people about Navigating Life with Viwe. Can we all join navigators? Yeah, I'm by Iship, and we are back for yet another insightful conversation. And who am I without these two gens? Hello, bro, my way too.
Hey, Vivacious.
So, Warner, how are you?
It is an honor, it is a pleasure, it is a privilege to be here. I'm fine, and how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just adjusting to Vivacious, Susan.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Vivacious, in shape, you know, like...
The Viviti guy.
Yes, so we'll die trying.
Not curvaceous?
Vivacious.
Not curvaceous.
Not
Okay, at least the distinction has been made clear. Vivacious. That is me. We still haven't coined I promised people.
Yeah, you promised me a name last time. I'm still waiting for my name, Bonanje.
It's coming.
I still have fears.
It's coming.
It's a matter for board resolution.
Bro, this is the second time and now I'm getting nervous once again
It's
at
coming.
this name.
It's coming.
When you want me on
listen to
edge, you
Listen
actually
to
want
me.
me on
I want
edge.
you to listen to my words. Brian,
Yeah.
I'm coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Head out the gutter, when. Get your head out the gutter.
It's out.
I don't even want to know what he was thinking. But Brian, how have you been?
I've been good.
Yes.
I've been good. I won't lie. Yeah, man, things are coming along. 2026. We professed, and we claimed, and for as long as we profess and we claim, it requires and it also requires action.
Oh, absolutely.
So we can't profess and claim without doing what is necessary or required from us. So Nagoni navigators, do remember action is needed from your side in order for your dreams to come true, to come to fruition. You need to act. Play your part.
Play your wisdom, guys, within the first 3 minutes. Aye.
Oh, come on.
Guys, you can't tell me you ain't dishing out wisdom here. Like,
wow. Like,
but we are here, as always, for another insightful conversation. And today we are talking dynamics of dating, of mating, of reproducing, cross-cultural. And there's something different about today's topic because we usually come up with what we think would add value to the current conversation, whether we throw in a bit of a discourse, a bit of whatever into the discourse contribution. But today we had to sit back a bit because what we are here to talk about is we came up and we put together stories that we heard concerning the topic at hand. And we're going to start with one. So I will create the scenario because I know we all read what was written to us. But for context, I'm going to make sure that I create to the best of my ability. So the context so that we can comment, Right. So one viewer writes to us, hello, navigators, do talk about this. I am dating same sex, so this is a gay man writing, and it does happen that it's a gay and it's a traditional gay man. So this is somebody who has been brought up to respect culture and tradition.
Okay.
And relationship yakhe uyamthanda umuntu wakhe. And they come from a very culturally informed background. And ke ngoku bazawutshata. They are taking it to the next level. And taking it to the next level, they do not want to go and hide somewhere and sign. They want to make sure that for whatever purposes and intents, that two families come together. They as two do come together. In a very dignified fashion, which will be preceded by Lobola negotiations. Suhleka, Brian. It's unprecedented. It's not something that's common in well, as far as we know. I'm not quite sure. Maybe some navigators might carry a different experience. Uthi ke ngoku ubhuti ndifuna ifamily yam iyokuthini iyokundilobolela ipartner yam. Right?
Right.
And yes, it's a story that has been given to us. What the clarity that has not been offered is who then lobolas the other because they're same sex. So
Yeah.
that gives us ground then to make maybe speculations as far as that's concerned. But he is saying now, ufunu tumela otata.
Right.
They've saved up enough and they've been living together. He does feel, though, that they're living together without making this big commitment is something that he's no longer comfortable to live with. And I thought it's interesting. I mean, let's have that conversation because we are living in a country that is officiated.
We're living in the world.
Yes, world, but specifically South Africa.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
officiated or that has taken a stand to officiate is same-sex marriages.
Yeah.
And who is then to say to what end can they practice tradition and culture? Ufuna lobola wes. And I want you to take me through what that brings to you. When you think of the dynamics, Zoba, how is this going to look like?
I don't know how it would look like. But if I were to be confronted with something like that,
Yes.
I would be frank and honest and open with my kith and kin that, listen, this is new. This is unprecedented.
Yes.
This is going to question tradition because as per practice, this thing has not historically catered for this context of partnership, right? So it is likely to upset certain people, but I am here to discover and learn with you.
I love that.
How do we propose we move forward, given the nature of the men folk we have in our family? How do you anticipate or how do you envisage this to unfold? So we should approach it from a question of seeking to learn, but coming with realities that we may both confront, right? That this has not been historically catered for. It is new, and it is something that is going to be perceived as though it is rebelling against what we already know. It is going to be frowned upon. It is going to be, people are going to find it incredulous, So it's going to be outrageously
Received. Can I push it back to you? Because I like how you are maybe painting the thoughts, because I think everything that we perceive comes from how we have been cultured
We've
to
been
think.
trained,
To think. So it's not, I'm not saying what you're saying is cast in stone as reality.
Yeah.
But I'm saying maybe it could be expected.
Yeah.
But let us say now he is approaching you, Mawethu.
Yes.
Awube umkhongi wami. Can you go and ask isandla sikasicelo in marriage? What then becomes your feeling? Because yes, we can speak of, ndidla ngoshiba, yes, the other day you said society is me and you, and society is us.
And together we are it.
And together we are it. Together we are society. And it's easy for us to set the tone for
Yes.
society and
Yes.
say, but let's take you on that definition of society as per previous episode where you like, society is you and I and together we are it.
Yeah.
You as a member of society, you have a family member approaching you and saying, "Ndicela undilobolele usicelo kutsho usiyanda oyindoda kuwe." What then becomes you in that context? We are you amcela usicelo, and what's the thought process there?
Even if bekuthiwa ndiyocela umntana oyintombazana,
Aha.
I was going to be curious, how do they do it in that region?
Hey,
how many-
region.
We could be lobolaring in Swaziland.
Yeah.
I see.
I need to have intelligence of
Yeah.
how the SWAT is accept
received.
abantu basemzini. All right.
Sifika sigilisa igate apho okanye simenyiwe silinda kuvulwa igate.
Exactly. So I would question it with the same tone, of trying not to fail. Everything I do, I want. If it was worth doing, I want to do it.
I
with
love
excellence,
that. Okay.
So I would want to say, okay, first of all, let me be frank and open. I'm uncomfortable because my education tells me that this is not something that I should be doing. But because of the relationship that I have with you, because of my love for you, I am willing to explore, learn, and operate in that space. Because if you go to, our lives are multifaceted, right? We have our religious tap, right? So as somebody, the religion or my belief systems teach me otherwise. And what you are proposing now is opposed to my teachings. And I can't disregard and sever myself totally from the phenomenon of abantu bazuthi.
I understand, and thank you for that honesty, and thank you for paying respect to your religion as well. I do always advocate that we are true to first to ourselves before we can be anything to the world. And that leads me to a question to you, Brian. And I happen to know from advantage that religion is not necessarily something that you practice. You know, I don't know the last time you're in church.
And then she laughs. Tandaza every day, and you know exactly what I mean.
You not being in church does not discount the fact that you could be a praying person. So please don't take it as
a spiritual person.
Yeah. So the meaning here for me is to say, I want to recognize you as somebody who might migrate from a different basis altogether, because maybe you will not quote religion to me, maybe something else. But I want to ask Uba, how...
best believe I will.
I want to ask the same question to you.
Yeah.
But added to your question, I want to check, that is it always possible? Or is it real for us to expect then religion not to, tradition and culture not to transform to accommodate our living situation? Because reality is, you're living in South Africa today. Same-sex marriages are a reality. And we are black people in this country, you know? So for somebody to tell me that for anybody to officiate over matters of our union, mandiye to a Christian church, or whatever the case, whatever church it is. Now, I want you to bring it back to me here. Now, uzongamela Cheers, Lel. What then becomes your position as a traditional man, as I know you and I understand you? Ngoku funeka uyolobola usicelo for uSiyanda. Uzathi sicwi xa ufika pha.
I'm glad you said we are now living in a South Africa where marriages or weddings between same-sex people are officiated. So we are living in a culturally progressive country. Right? The culture behind marriages, okanye imichato, has changed.
Absolutely.
The tradition, however, will always remain the same. Right?
And by remaining the same, meaning in the context of what you're talking about?
In the context of what we're talking about, the tradition your Lobola will always remain. The tradition yobana kiyaxhelwa and kutyiwa utsiki will always remain.
Got you.
Right? Now, we are now in a position where we have to try and merge culture with tradition and also consider religion. Traditionally, I do not see it being an acceptable practice. I'm going to be very blatant about it. Traditionally, I do not see it becoming a practice that is going to be accepted.
Can I have a follow-up before you finish?
However, culturally, because now I am dealing with Umawetu and we want to follow, it is up to the families. These families should meet. And they want to follow the traditional practices. How can we at the end of the day abantwana bayathandana and we get them married? Whatever we are going to call this thing, your lobola and whatnot, is going to be a new cultural practice. In the same way that the first person to ever get circumcised was a completely new thing back in the day, right? It had to be new at some point.
It had to start somewhere.
Yeah. So everyone followed, right? Now, culturally, as we are moving along, and I mean 30, 40 years from now, you might find that there are going to be more couples that are going to sit there and say, actually, namdi afunu lotyolo. It is whether or not we choose to migrate culture with tradition, right? But traditionally, best believe me, traditionally, I don't see it happening. culturally,
What about the
we can
families that have
migrate.
practiced?
I don't know. I just feel like
There are families that have
you're just
practiced it.
keeping us in the semantics of it all.
In the
Yes.
semantics.
You know?
Okay,
Because-
would I do
because
it?
you-
Would I go?
I'm gonna
No.
simplify it and say
Yeah.
we've got classic examples of non-binary couples,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Who have undergone the same course of what heterosexual couples would undergo.
okay.
And I'm not sure about the officiating part, because people that have solemnized those in the altar, I don't think there is one church that actually does that.
Yeah,
But in terms of families getting to meet and know one another and following the tradition of the rights and the negotiations, and they've done it.
Has it happened?
So yeah, it has happened.
I do need advice from my elders, Abasekoy, right? Some people might not have that luxury of having otatomncinci that are older than them, and they might be the eldest themselves, and they will have to make that decision as to whether or not we go and do this. At the end of the day, these kids love each other, and these kids want to get married, right? It is in both families' interests for Mna to make sure it does happen for these kids, whether or not you bend the rules and you don't call it Lobola and you call it something else. It is up to those families to decide. I've never been in that situation. I don't know if I could go and do Lobolela. For instance, if it was my son, right? Any of my sons. Ati tata nangia umzwandile and
Who's why?
it was
It's in like why. That's why. it's so cracked.
and actually
But
uzwai
Uzwai
is umzwandile. I can't imagine myself having to go to kulo mzwandile ndiyoti hey man dizo lobola dizawulinda ngaphandle.
No.
I don't see myself doing it. I don't know how to do it.
But it's something that you're obviously not closed off to if you were called to serve in that space.
Look, I'm not closed off to it. I don't think I would be the leader in it. I think I would go there to watch and learn.
Is
I
it? I think at least there's a point, I think, also for you as our viewer who has actually written in for us, I mean, for us to comment on it. I think there's a common point that both gentlemen reach. Unfortunately, as a woman, I would happily represent, if culture were to be opened enough, particularly, I know in other cultures, women do sit in for such conversations or negotiations rather. If it were, maybe I don't know. What do you think about incorporating us then? Because in Atamadoda, and I'm suggesting this particularly from O'Brien's assertions, because una into yoquma, ilanto ka into ba masiqumele into ba, between the two families, which is a fair position for people that aren't familiar with the practice of ulobola indoda for enye indoda. Not that it is justified in its in its fairness, because you must remember nobody harbors a lesser constitutional right within the Republic. So we are all equal in the eyes of God as well, I would like to extend, So I come to that whose then right of living or choices should enjoy more importance and privilege than the other. Now, where men fall short on this one. Because I'm suggesting so. I'm suggesting so because in reading your responses, there's a bit of familiarity that's being proclaimed as non-existent. But uchana, you know what I mean? But, almost making this bigger than just a call to service, a call to appreciate the love. Kukona, this whole familiarity thing that's being forwarded. I understand that. But I'm saying, would then that not maybe create, because as I understand what Brian was saying, tradition can remain, sustain, nakulotyolwane. Kodwa ke ningasifaki nje whereas thina bantu ke bangomama to practice umlobolo lona, because constitutionally everybody has a right
Are you saying
to be represented.
Universally do recognize all forms and shapes of partnerships? They don't. It's only a few of them. Some of them, abantu abangomama, are patriarchal.
Yeah.
They are accepting the norms and traditions and values as they are.
Yeah.
They're not willing to change anything. So let's be careful also
I
on
understand.
advocating that abantu abangomama
I
speak with one
understand.
voice on this subject.
I understand. No. I was only suggesting it as a helping hand.
Yeah.
You know, when our men are found wanting in that space, you know, and I know, I often say, you know, nature doesn't allow for vacuum to exist, you know,
Yeah.
where one party chooses to sit out and observe and choose carefully how to move forward. Unfortunately, because it is in the nature of nature not to allow for vacuum, that space will be taken by somebody else. And I was only merely suggesting that maybe the space be opened up. You know, I know in our Xhosa culture, it's a man thing to negotiate for into the Lobola, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm also thinking, imagine if all of you, I'm trusting in you guys. If Nongen is our, I'm now suggesting that maybe as maternal beings, because ultimately, you know, maybe open up the space for
Now the
us.
question
to
would be, nina niqhelele phi?
hayi thina kaloku senza into esingaziqhelanga ningasilingi. Have you not recognized that?
Yabona, like, and I always.
Ingathi ndinyathele ku-territory enzima.
I always no. I'm just like a territory
Okay.
enzima. Like the thing is for me, like whenever a person says indobana sithi abamitayo abantwana aba, nimitizwe ngubani?
Yo, ndiqale enye. I did say I went on
No,
to an
no,
unsafe
no,
space.
no. You didn't. You didn't. You
Ndize
didn't.
nenye.
You didn't.
You are carrying
You
the
didn't.
seed. Where
You
does
are
that seed come
where,
from?
Who planted the seed? So, guys, I think
No, can I justify why I said that?
Yeah.
You know, so that we don't make this about who plants and who
No,
conceives.
we're not making
I
it
just
about
want to
that.
maybe
Okay.
mention something. That, well, whether we look at stats, you navigators, I've never been uncomfortable going into an argument. Like I am. I feel like, have mercy on me, but I will still try my best. You know, I was almost wanting to say that, you know, with all the chaos, and I know no stereotype, guys, is 100% valid.
Yeah.
But I was migrating from understanding that we are often the ones left behind when the fathers depart.
Yeah.
It's not every father. It's a half stereotype. So I was saying, when situations get tough, sometimes even around raising these kids, most of the times women are left behind, right? Holding the fort. So I was also suggesting similar in the space that when men find themselves so uncomfortable, ngabantwana bethu, you know, if we amthanda usicelo usiyanda wami usizwe wami mntanami uzwayi wami, you know, mntanam, I will hold you by your hand ndiyokufunela la myeni pha siyishiye la mali pha and come back while culture is updating itself or
Come back with umfazi okanye umyeni.
akanza uxelwa nguye ndiyazi.
No, I just thought I just
but
wait in
for
vain.
me,
Coming back with
Yeah.
umfazi omyeni.
For me, it's easier. It's easy to hold staunch views and idealistic views
At the principal level.
until
It's
whether
your own.
principle or you know, some people are taught and their teachings are authentic.
Yeah.
Until the unfamiliar
Comes close to you.
Hey.
situation is close to home.
Lands at your toes.
You know, we've got people that have birthed kids who are normal, who are insanely gifted. But you find that a child is a child, gay, all right?
Bafuna
Or
ukudeny.
Or lesbian. They've never been taught this anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just that by their very nature,
Inclination,
yeah. They just find themselves not being familiar with an ordinary boy next door.
And we
You
hope they
understand?
adjust to it.
Bro, I like
Now,
a Porsche, not a Ferrari.
The default position of mankind is to medicalize those kids, to say there's some imbalance, number one.
Okanye
Right.
weza ngicela ukungena
Okanye-
ngicela ukujoyina kuloo ndawo okanye what did I do wrong as umzali uzibuza uba what did I do wrong abanye abazali.
Yeah. Spiritually, you say, this is not how God intended things to be. We are very bold in making those statements. Up until your own flesh and blood
It lands on your
becomes
toes.
that. Then you are humbled to the ground
Yeah.
and you start questioning,
Negotiating.
relearning, unlearning.
Does the Bible
Because-
not say, judge not lest ye yourself be judged?
Look, well, sometimes we can bash that scripture and use it.
No, sense
but
it,
there
you know,
are
but
certain
you-
situations that we know forthrightly that this is black and this is white.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, somewhere in between, there's a gray.
Gray area.
And then when we land in that gray area, then you don't know if it's black anymore or it's white.
It
Bro,
reminds
it's
me.
just
It reminds
great.
me of a
And then there's
conversation.
hybrid.
It reminds me
understand?
of a conversation that we've had, and it wasn't in one conversation where I
Yeah.
think Uma Wetu came out and said, "Yo, when I was married, I used to be the biggest judge
Oh,
of people that were doing A, B, C, D, and F,
Yeah,
cheating,
yeah.
and there were till my own life was put into focus."
yeah.
And I realized by actually there isn't much perfection around my life as well. You know, I found myself on the end, and I've shared similar as well. You know,
Yeah,
it's easy
yeah.
for people to judge, and I want to, you know, speak to what you were speaking about. You know, that it's easy for people to judge situations as right
Yeah.
or wrong
Yeah.
or of God,
Yes.
of non-God,
Yeah.
till God comes close
hits
to you.
home.
Yeah.
Till God comes close to you. And I hope, unfortunately, we are going to have to move on from this because we do have other people that have written to us.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
do want to close it off.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some of us will be put at the fore of change, you know.
Yeah.
Your life story becomes, you know, something that is new to society entirely. Does not mean your life should lose favor or your life is less real than any other person's life. I feel like you should go ahead and Lobola, right? Do whatever and work with whoever is willing to work with you. Understand that whoever is not willing to work with you, it's only demonstrating shortcomings and their own judgments. It's got nothing to do with you. Thanda umuntu wakho, mlobole. Society eventually catches up. Everything that we see here today was once at some point new, Sanalam. So hold true to yourself. Usiyeke sonke thina. All of us, sinezethu inkinga, right?
Yeah.
Have I justified? You will find a few that will go by Lobola. Be open to the experience. Be open to however it shapes itself. Maybe you are creating a new culture.
Yeah.
Maybe people will call you up to learn from you. So do take note. Be present for every moment. Mhlambe sofunda kuwe. Now moving along. Second scenario. Cross-culture. This one is cross-culture in the true sense. I think the other one was more like a cross-sexual whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm using offensive words. I mean not to. Is it cross-sexual?
I-
Same sex, whatever it is.
Look, we'll learn.
We will learn to, and we'll put it better.
We'll
in
learn
the
from our
future.
navigators. Yeah.
Sana, now the second person who's also spoke to the same subject said,
Yeah.
hey guys, I'm a Xhosa guy married to a Pedi lady. This has most of the stories, you guys
Yeah.
remember it now.
Yeah.
So the lady is from Limpopo and they are happily married, so would like to believe, because there's nothing disclosed about unhappiness in the marriage. But Nanku girl, the lady goes home, and this is around the son's 13th birthday, and he goes home and returns with a circumcised son. Because in a culture, men get circumcised around that age. Whereas traditionally, not culture, thank you for correcting me. Whereas in the Xhosa culture, we wait for you till you become around 18, 19, 20. That's usually the time our boys go into the initiation school. Now, Guy is feeling exceptionally offended because he feels this is something he should have championed. And this has led to a whole lot of issues, the ones you can imagine and the ones you can't even imagine in their marriage, because he feels emasculated. Is it demasculated?
Emasculated, yeah.
Yeah, he feels emasculated by the whole exercise. And the wife is saying, well, different means to the same endpoint.
Sure. Yeah.
Ooh.
Azisha, Brian, I mean, I also don't want you to add fuel to the problem that's being, you know, but I mean, what then becomes your view? Because we have to assist them in, you know.
The biggest flag for me is the response from the wife, Eti, well, more than anything else.
No, I just want to correct that name.
Okay.
This is my wholesome interpretation
Okay,
of her
okay,
response.
okay.
Her response was that when she got home and the uncles realized the son was of age,
Yeah.
the uncles championed it and
Yeah.
she didn't see anything wrong.
Okay.
So who all welled him.
Sure.
Yeah, and that
Okay.
is the answer she advanced to the husband.
Look, my biggest problem is that this couple is married, right?
Yes, they are married.
And they have a child within wedlock.
Yeah.
Now, Lamdana Lowana, if it was Umdana from before marriage, it begs out uhlawulwe. and umntana was emzini still, and even if when you get ngengalo after sewumhlawula umntana, like ulobola umfazi nabantwana. My biggest problem here mna, it starts with the uncles, them making a decision to do lo mcimbi emntaneni without consulting the other side of the family, right? Especially him being the father, right? My second problem is the wife agreeing to it without consulting and saying, baby, this is what they want to do to our child. Okanye, this is what my uncles are suggesting. So both the family and Yena are at fault for me. And V uti, the aim here is to try and assist, right?
I would like to make it about helping more than
about helping. Look, there's no fixing that situation because the disrespect from both wife and family has already been exercised. You did something to my child without notifying me.
Can I ask you something?
Before you do, right? It is like, for instance, and I'm going to speak about this openly. I was here with you guys a couple of weeks ago, and I told you that I had a bit of a problem. My child has just been punished by somebody
that you don't approve of.
That I don't, not even, I don't approve of
the method of
punishment. Okay. Right? And then that message didn't come to me, Ukuba, my child has been punished because they have done whatever. Right? The problem starts with not communicating. Literally. Especially when it comes to his interest, a tradition. This is a Xhosa boy, not a Pedi boy. He is Xhosa first because Ugoluga Kwake needs to go the Xhosa way. So already now, there will always be that animosity towards this family and towards the wife. I don't know if there is ever going to be ikhona lando yoba kuthiwe niyadliwa and funeka nihlawule for his phoso sakho, right? And perhaps that is what that is what might happen. Into bana ninesphoso funeka nihlawule. But I don't see that level of respect ever coming back.
Can I just ask what I wanted to ask?
Yeah, please.
Because you were saying, it's an untenable situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm just wanting, when you say untenable, suddenly, I'm a problem solver. You know, when I'm met with something, I want to be like,
you troubleshoot.
How do we troubleshoot?
How do we fix this? Yeah.
How best can we then get to a point of being functional, again? And ultimately, if I now take out certain elements about it, the personalization of the act, but it should have happened and look at the act for what it is. Because you do get Xhosa guys that get actually circumcised at birth and practice and do the whole Buma thing, initiation school later, without the physical, surgical part.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to see.
There's a term for it.
Yes, now you're saying untenable. I'm like thinking, is this honestly untenable? And also, can I maybe not say, yes, the husband who happens to be Xhosa may have been disrespected, but the disrespect was honestly maybe to his ego more than anything else. No. And if his then ego, according to my story, entertain me for a second, then you will respond. Then if his ego is so damaged, can we really call a situation, because an ego, I mean, I look at you, Brian, as you seated there, and as you seated there, if I now take this thing and shoot your knee, that's where the pain is. It's a physical pain. But an ego pain is a pain to something and a form of identity that you've created about yourself. That says, I'm this person. So it's not a physical place in you. And if somebody goes there and goes, Gah! And goes, really?
Yeah.
Can we call that untenable?
Let me tell you what's untenable.
Honestly.
It's not about ego. This is not about ego. You did something to my child without my knowledge. It's not about ego. This is about reality.
No, I still disagree. I still want you to entertain my version. I want you to entertain the version that says this ego is a crafted form of beliefs about you as a Xhosa man that form the entirety of your identity, together with whatever that you decide. Ndunguchezi.
Yeah.
I'm a Xhosa man.
Yeah.
I'm the man in this house.
Yeah.
I decide when it gets cut.
Yeah. And
The
how it
4-5
gets
of
cut,
this
who
child,
cuts.
and how
yeah,
it cuts, and who is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But this is the surgical part, which is not always cut at the same time, has been done for you. You know what I mean? Which is just the physical component. Can you honestly call the situation untenable?
I will come back and I will say to you again, Ndobana, it is untenable.
I want to hold it. I want
Because
to
you
bring in
did
my way
something to my child without my knowledge.
and not
It's not about the ego.
Yeah.
It is the fact that you went and did something that is traditionally tied to, it doesn't matter if it's traditionally tied to you. You went and did something to my child without my knowledge.
Can I say something?
That is what makes it untenable for me.
Okay, I wanna take this to Omawet.
Sure, no.
As a mother, I went and I shopped for a matric dance dress
Okay.
without the father's knowledge. Yomdana. Forget the dynamics there. I also then went and bought shoes. In fact, I want to bring in another dynamic here. But before
Yeah.
I do, can we really
Yeah.
call situations untenable when one parent decides to act and do something they perceive as good for their son or their daughter without the knowledge of another parent? If the perception and the intention is good towards the child, can we ever then call that situation untenable between the parents?
For me, I would say we need to be all with one accord regarding the jurisdiction. Now, buying a pair of shoes, it's a jurisdiction between from parent to parent, and it's a decision a call that can be made from one parent, right? But taking a child to Komeng, I think that's what babies call Ulwaluko.
Come in, yeah.
Yeah, taking a child, it goes beyond your jurisdiction and your call as a single parent. It's a jurisdiction not only for you and your husband, it's a jurisdiction for the entire family, it's a jurisdiction for the entire tribe. All right. Now you can imagine we need to understand the extent of the problem and the implications thereof.
There's a reminder I want to push
You
in.
you could see it in being a woman or the mother of this child. You could limit it only to your worldview that at the end of the day, it ultimately fulfills the purpose of making this boy and
man.
turning him to a man, making this boy a man, right? Whereas there are certain protocols, rights that were bypassed, disregarded, disobeyed, disrespected, dishonored, right?
Strong
now-
language, hey?
Is it though? Is it?
No, I want to add
You
this.
said we must
It's
call it what
realistic.
it is. We need to
Guys,
understand.
remember the whole
we need to
story.
understand the extent of the problem, not to dismiss it.
In fact, I want to complete this story, and I know you guys are familiar with it, and I want to
Yeah.
remind you of what he says. Ne? Uti, the response from the wife says that when the uncles saw that the child had become of age,
Yeah.
they thought makayenze,
Yeah.
whilst he was there over the December holidays. And the second leg to it, in fact, there are 3 legs, but the second leg to it, Bania Kumbula, he says, the woman says, but I also don't see you as the great representation of your own culture.
Of your own, yeah. Of
I
Lendonians.
see my
yeah.
uncles who saw that Makoluke as better representatives of the kind of men
That
I want my son
child
to be,
Yeah. Yeah,
than
yeah,
you
yeah,
as
yeah,
my husband.
yeah,
So there was no
yeah.
way I was going to say no to it because you fail your own people. I personally do not want my child to model you as a father because of your other issues with your wife, which were not
wanna-
elaborated on.
Yep.
So this is not without reason.
Two
This
wrongs.
is
Yeah.
with reason.
Uncle Bay, I'm actually about to go there in Dobana. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Why I say that right now, right, is that her perspective for me is very subjective because she is dealing with this person. So she does not want this person, her husband, to be the example of a man. that
For their son.
that is going to be for her son, right? But surely there are steadfast men within that guy's family whom can be a role model to the son. Or tatomncinci, or bhuti, or tata.
If they are,
If
then
they are. Now, to make that unilateral decision, one, yukbana, okay, because I don't see you who should be the immediate, I am going to go home here, is very selfish. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
I'll
I'm interested.
I'll tell you why it is selfish. I see. I saw you coming there. I'll tell you why it is selfish. When the two of them got together
Yes.
and decided to get married,
They brought two families together.
there were families involved.
Yeah.
Now that this child
Yeah.
has come of age according to Bedi tradition, at 13 years old or however old, and I mean that's the same as Jewish kids in Dobana. They have a bar mitzvah at age 13, right? So now that this family tradition yabo says at 13 years old, magahambi umdana, and you as the mom have a problem with the father when you're your husband, then perhaps meet with the family that brought you guys together, that came and agreed, that came and lobolad and said, Ndomana, sifunu phakela kwesi isitya. So now that there's a problem here between these two, these are still imbewu okanye is uqhama kwezityalo zethu apho sityale khona naku kuyaqhama ngoku kuyaphuhla flip. So the family should get involved first before she makes that unilateral decision. Before that family makes that decision, they need to contact that family and say, hey, your son is failing, and this is what we're thinking of doing.
At a principal level, 100%. I agree.
Yeah.
But I almost just want I have a suspicion here, and I don't know if you guys have also interrogated it similarly, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm now seated here and thinking, just how anchored is the father in their own tradition
Just
and
how?
culture? Just how anchored
Oh, yeah. Is the dad? Yeah. In his own traditions and culture.
culture.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, we've seen this happen in different forms, you know, where, I'm not sure if you guys have the similar exposure. Let me not say we. You know, I've certainly been exposed to situations where a man is married to a woman.
Yeah.
And the man chooses to discuss the shortcomings of the woman with the family and doesn't understand when the family disrespects the woman. Do you understand? And I wonder, look, Navigator, we are trying to assist, but this is a question that came out strongly for me, that in the context of self-culture, own culture, and own anchoredness and own indoctrination, you know what I mean, everything about you. Because when you, and I want to pose this as a question to you, and I want to pose it as a question from a point of advantage.
Right.
Also understanding that you also then married across cultures.
Yeah.
You know? That at which point, I know, am I making you uncomfortable?
No, even if you tried, you wouldn't.
Okay, like that. In fact,
that's a challenge.
How important is it for two that are coming from different countries as they come together?
Yes.
For them to establish, because maybe we are speaking from disadvantage in the story because we haven't interrogated further. But how important is it for a couple that's marrying across cultures for them to establish from the onset how things will be done here? You know, not just from assumption, yoba, I am a man. And communicating that cannot just be a matter of, and I dare say, you know, what are the practices that maybe, I don't know if you have from your own personal experience that you can share, that you then practice in this marriage to ensure that identity does not get confused. Even the child becomes, even in your absence, you know, the ambassador of the culture that Utata has inculcated in the family. Because that was missing for me in the story.
Yeah. Viwe, it's very important to establish those things from the onset. People think when you are doing family planning or crafting a vision of your family, it's big things that you have to think about. It's such minute day-to-day experiences as those. I'll make an example.
Make examples. You know, I love it when we get it to practical.
So I married.
Azizela.
Basically, these things test our loyalties and commitments to our cultures and whether we do understand certain things.
Yeah.
I learned that right at that moment that I was not quite well versed with some of the practices. And it was a golden opportunity for me to redefine and to relearn my own culture. When we were blessed with two very beautiful daughters.
Pretty daughters.
Very pretty.
Beautiful girls.
Yeah. So the first one, right, we do what we call itari. Itari is a Sotho name for the back. Actually, itari is the maybe it's on the hide of a cow, or is it the carcass? If you fell on you don't.
Yeah, hide,
the
yeah,
hide.
yeah.
It's a hide.
Yeah.
That's itari.
Itari, yeah.
Because in the ancient days, that was used to actually carry the child
Yeah.
at the back and to swallow them.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah, it was ityali of
Yeah.
Ubeleka,
yeah, ukubeleka.
Yeah.
So imbeleko.
Yeah.
Babiza itari.
Yeah.
Abesuthu, because we are more Hlubi inclined
Yeah.
and we have some Sotho influences, right?
I know
Get
it's
the contrast. I
Mzulu.
married
No,
a
no, no.
Mosotho girl.
Don't worry.
Zut,
Stick to
yeah.
the story.
Is another one.
Stick to the story.
Yes, Zut.
Yeah.
Used to some, by the way. And now,
Oh, flip! I just hide it.
and then now we have this imbeleko. Now, I submit to her that listen, your side of the family are not allowed. Not that they're not allowed in, but this is a one-sided Sitzamba Vundle affair. So
Sacred.
the provenance of this thing is that the Amavundle clan are introducing
Their child to their own ancestors.
to Amavundle as a whole, alive and dead.
And on.
Right? Yeah. That child is being incorporated into the covenant.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah,
Amavundle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We call it
Bloodline now.
Imbelek, and being introduced to her own people. Right? So, because they think we are one big family, isn't this the time that they feel excluded? Oh, during the celebrations and the nuptials and the exchanges, we were told that we are one big family. That family has earned a daughter, this family has earned a son, and together these kids are our own. And right now they are having their own affair. We are being excluded. So those were opportunities for us to redefine and explain. And
how did you navigate them?
it was difficult. It was just the benefit of time that they realized that, okay, this thing is common wherever. But there is another.
No, you're not clear, Mawethu.
What do
I
you
don't
mean
want you to
it's
move
not
from one
clear?
example to the other without me understanding what you're saying. My question to you specifically is, when you had to then stand on business, if one were to say, and be like, apha kuchate umXhosa nomSotho.
Yes.
But there are moments where I have to stand and be firm on culture.
Yes.
I was following you to a point where I thought you left me halfway.
All right.
Uyamthatha lo mntana umsa kumavundle. And you're supposed to stand on business if it's supposed to be truly secluded to Amavundle family. What then became your position in that
No, my
stand?
position still became that Lomdana we are introduced to Emma Vundlin.
Okay.
And just like any other child in the family, this is going to be conferred upon her in a similar way as other kids
Absolutely.
in the family.
Absolutely.
Now, the mother is going to be present, but her side of the family is not going to be present.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was difficult to navigate that without them feeling excluded.
Offended
That's what
to
I'm
some
saying.
degree as
they
well.
were offended. I had to endure that offense.
Ubethwa kwakho.
I had to endure, and it happened with the second one. Obviously, with the blows of the first one, they were already anticipating that it's gonna cost the same way.
I
you know?
understand. I understand.
So sometimes that's how you get to.
If-
You might wait.
No,
I
okay.
want to ask you this question, and I don't want you to expand because I want this question to also come to you.
Okay.
But how important is preservation, because I'll create an example. I know, and I'm going to apologize to your family. I'm just going to use this example because it's something we've spoken about before. Our intentions is not to
Why
be
am I fearful? You okay? Cool. Yeah. Is that Nazo?
So Brian actually professed, unprovoked, and pushed uba kaloku mna i-girlfriend yami yokuqala yayilindiya ndiyandiya
Egauteng.
Okay.
In Jozi. Yeah.
I'm one person who's always dated, but with I've never had window yomtshato not open. In every relationship I always saw long term.
You were there and in.
That's good.
Yes,
I like that.
Like I've never done things
That
for
is
relationship
That is
flames.
honorable.
should be your
bruh.
permanent one.
That is honorable.
Flames.
No, that's
Well, welcome to the
honorable.
world.
V. Like,
Welcome to the real world.
ungagcwalisi quantum apha, bruh.
You're not allowed to throw that back at me.
Ungagcwalisi quantum.
Asiye pha kundiyandiya
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now we are kundiyandiya.
Yeah.
And you're thinking Karushna, akave attractive.
Funny how you said that because that was almost her name.
Is it almost his name?
Oh, wow.
Ndiyakubona Brian Karushna. Apologies to them. But anyway. Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
Uya kulantuka because ndifuna as much as everything is open to you, you also need to be able to live with the consequences of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we are kundiyandiya. We love Indians, by the way. Anyway, now what sort of, because I would like to imagine, and this I've never dated someone without the possibility of thinking long term with them.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you are similar to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And there's somebody I've never also gone outside the culture of Yama. Because you see how intentional I've always been.
Yeah.
But must be up.
Love is
this
love,
is the
bro.
interview.
Relationships are relationships.
Must be up. What then become your thought? What becomes your thought process when you imagine long term with a non-Xhosa person?
I'll say.
And
Sorry, please
particularly with regards to kids, I'll tell you what I imagine, and I'm speaking from pure speculation with no experience. I'm imagining ba okokuqala izawuthi lento ngoku nisa nabantwana nguwe nendiya lakho or any other person. We're not being tribal, guys. We're just honestly trying to have an honest conversation.
Yeah, dating outside of your
of culture.
Outside of your
normal whatever, wherever you're whatever, however you
tribe,
choose to put it. Put it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Grade 4, grade 5. Mzali tick. Xhosa or English. Ungilotatu absent. You're not going to be there for these homeworks, by the way. And ukarushna une familiarity. No, let me place this fully as a question to you. Then you can respond. Ukarushna lo uzaba ngumama abantwana wes, who's going to be here for every homework. Akazi isiXhosa, right? And language being one of the first, one of the key cultural identifying things or whatever. Ungumxhosa, that's what we call ourselves. You would say ndachata umSotho. So language is at the core of it. Ngoku uyamtshata uKarushna wakho. Now naturally second language grade 5, grade 4 should be naturally unnegotiated. Ndenza isiXhosa ngoba ndingumntana kaChezi uBrian. But I was back for his homeworks. What then becomes your thought process around dynamics like that? Because I don't want us of choosing to stand on culture. It's in the small choices, Uthini kula grade 4 faced with the reality of your hectic work, not noma mozathi yena uzakwenza Afrikaans umntana and their identity.
I'll bring it closer, right?
Okay.
Because if we're going to talk about my first girlfriend in Johannesburg, that was back in 2000. Let's talk 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
All right.
Right?
Yes, with your Zulu wife, right?
No, we were already separated.
Okay,
Here's me and a Portuguese girl.
Ndikhumbuze.
Here's me and a Portuguese girl, right?
Oof. Portuguese?
Yes. Teta is Xhosa fluently. Khulele apha ngezantsi apha.
Kodwa uyabazi
Right.
uyazilanda.
Yeah, man. No. So it happens, right? Okay, cool. We're working together. If ish happens and we see each other, right? And we end up in a relationship. Now, the conversations that we were having were exactly what you're saying in Dobana. Should there ever be umdan? Should this ever go on? And we have umdana kuzakwenzeka ntoni? Hayi kaloku ngumXhosa umdana. So kuzafuneka uluke? Yes, kuzafuneka uluke. So you start speaking about these conversations as kwasekuqaleni. If you don't, excuse me, if you end up not being married, uba umdana uhlawulwe, it goes straight back to well, uzoba khona for your homeworks, you've moved on with your life, now you've gotten married to someone else, and your life continues, right? You still sit there and you have e-commitments and irresponsibilities towards umdana. Whether or not you are going to be there for your homework or not, umhlawule umdana, ewe. Did you admit? Are you there? Are you functional as umzali? For as long as you're not functional as umzali, uba uhlawule umdana, nansi ya family, ambokhala kwi-family. Now this is me. Ambokhala kwi-family.
So default makathikishe isiXhosa pha esikoleni.
As a second language.
As a second language.
Why should it change? Why should it be different?
Hayi kaloku hayi man
makathikishe umXhosa.
hayi niyathanda ukuhlala ku-principle.
No, are your principle makathikishe umXhosa.
Okay, what's your
where's your
point?
Let me ask this question, right? You take a peach
Commissioner.
pip. You take a peach pip.
I'm the commissioner. Listen, I feel like you guys are misunderstanding me. I'm not saying utikish banding ngumXhosa now.
Yeah.
I'm saying given a chance, yefal, and whatever, the second language.
Yeah.
What do they do as a preservation of your culture? Do you allow for them to do Afrikaans that the mother is comfortable with? Or do you then enforce uba bantwana bam ningamaXhosa? Ndikhona ndingekho. You will preserve that part of their language, that they understand it. That's what I'm using language in school as a mere example of when these questions that relate and touch close on identity come up. How do you then fend for them? Do you understand? Do you leave it to practicality that I uza kwenza homework no Susan, who happens to be their mother, and Susan is comfortable with Afrikaans because uli India or uli Khalad? Or do you stand on business and say, abam ngamaXhosa noba ndibenze phi? Do you understand? I don't want you to say we're taking Xhosa as an identity. I'm saying when such decisions have to be made, where do you stand with preserving their own identity and culture and tradition in making sure they understand language? And that shouldn't be a complex question because you have cross-culture children and second language esikolweni is a reality for them. How have you voted on that? You have cross-culture children.
Twice.
And how have you voted on that question? It's a simple thing, guys. You're just making it
Can I
wrong.
tell you how I voted on it?
Yeah.
Tethis Xhosa endlini. You can speak all the English and Afrikaans you want there at school.
Okay.
In my house, okanye when you come home, Tethis Xhosa.
The dynamics are different.
That's it.
The dynamics are different. My kids are Xhosa.
Yeah.
But ask them to speak a word of Xhosa today. They can't.
It's
Every time they hear on a holiday, I speak Xhosa to them. What's that you're saying, Dave? And it irritates me. Right? But it can't irritate me because there is no one who's teaching them day-to-day Xhosa. There is high chances of them speaking better Sesotho, which they also hardly speak as well. So we end up speaking English to our kids. Not that I'm proud of that. I wish I could change it. But who's going to speak Xhosa to them? I'm co-parenting healthily, by the way.
I love that for
they
you.
stay with their mom. Their mom... It doesn't come naturally for her to speak Xhosa to them. We've had these conversations, by the way. So she speaks English to them. They do English at school. I think there was an option of them having to choose between Zulu. It's not even Xhosa. Xhosa was not part of the curriculum. It's Zulu.
Zulu and
family?
Mandarin.
Not their mother, not their father, but they're going to do is Zulu. So the dynamics are different.
I understand.
You understand?
Yeah.
So I like maybe let's not be tied down and imprisoned by that. But as long as we understand our identity, I remember one of the popular leaders, the kids were in exile in Lesotho. They were Xhosa, and then the kids were speaking in Sotho. And then in that family, they started conversing in Sotho. But the guy never changed his political views.
Yeah.
You understand? So it doesn't change the
I
fact that
understand that. And the
Okay.
point of the question was just, I mean, the whole issue language just gone was just an example.
Yeah.
But it was
Okay.
just to say, Uba, how do you then show up for your culture constantly? And how do you keep yourself attuned to Uba? Kanene, they have to remember. I mean, nabe tuhlala nabo ngosingamaXhosa, we hardly speak Xhosa to them.
Yeah.
Because what, like we esikolweni eqala ukufunda uze-express umntana wathi, Mommy, I'm hungry. You know, so your first appreciation into uyakwazi communicate.
Yeah.
Uphela usithi, what do you want to eat? When you sunshine,
Yeah,
you should be
yeah,
saying,
yeah, yeah.
"Fanba
Ufuna
uthi
ukutya ntoni?"
mntanam ndilambile."
Yeah, ufuna ukutya
So
ntoni?
what I'm trying to say, it's not a perfect spectrum, but
Yeah.
for me, the question was around what was asked to us.
Yeah.
That unfortunately, we've only had one side of the story, where the guy is alleging that the son
Yeah, his
came back
wife, yeah.
circumcised.
Yeah.
And we don't really have a full story except the response that's being portrayed to us by the husband. Uba uthe unkosikazi wam, by the way, 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, and 4. Do you understand? And we only just then went further to explore. But by the way, it seems, or it might seem as though this whole anchoredness on what culture should be was not something that was strong in this couple's lives, because uthatha umntana uyomolusa, if the man stood strongly for culture, then maybe you should have, unless she intended to offend, because there's also that dynamic
Yeah,
in
bona,
relationships.
that's
There's
that's
also
something
Nongba,
something I wanted to go to in
Ndifuna
Dobana
ukumbonisa, by the way.
because she says in Dobana you are not the example. Maybe she was vindictive enough to say in Dobana nzokubonisa. Yeah, kitlo.
now a short-term decision with long-term effects.
Long-term effects. That's why I said untenable.
But still, it is a very tenable. I know kids who
No,
goes.
if you do it vindictively and to prove a point, then Galogu, that vindictiveness can never be tenable.
I will still agree with you whether it's untenable or not. But whereas I don't know if I ever gave you a chance to say, is it a tenable situation? Because I still think what was mostly hurt here is the ego, your own identifying whatever.
It
you
could
know,
go either way.
You know what I mean?
I would make an example of a man who's been caught cheating. Your wife will either divorce you or you guys will reconcile. It can go either way.
You'll reconcile with conditions.
So I'm saying there is no problem that cannot be fixed.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you choose not to fix the problem because you are just offended and you're not willing to move beyond that point,
For
then
Nessa,
They're
you're
offensive.
une silent
but
treatment
if
ka
you are
life.
saying, you know what, ndiyakuthanda,
Using.
I still want us to proceed as a family. This is where now, do you realize what you've just done? Do you understand the pain you have caused? How do we repair? How do we retrieve?
Yeah.
You know, my parents are offended. The entire tribe, the entire village is offended by your actions. Right? Now, how do we fix all of that?
Ungadutoyito yena nge-parents nange-village.
no,
Because
That's
It's
why
true,
I'm saying you
though.
must
No.
understand. You must.
Kaloku
We're a
ngoluse
community.
umntana
You
ngokwakhe.
married
you
a tribe.
can't
You married.
magnify a problem that exists within a household.
I said
But
to
it
understand
magnified the
jurisdictions.
tradition.
Viwe.
Let me
We
finish.
understand
Let me
jurisdictions.
finish. You can't magnify a problem that exists between us as a couple. Because this speaks to how we solve it as well. The minute you then incorporate Indoba ne village, only you and I know. If a village yayazi, it means you've been a conduit for that information. If your family knows, you've been Upper Lendo is still contained.
Family, V, so the
They don't
village
have
will
to know.
The village
What do
which
you
is
mean
part
they
of
don't
the
have to
family
know?
will know.
What do you mean they don't have to
The
know?
village
because
is
if-
formed by
no, but
family.
if-
Mtshana, like, oh,
You have broken an
agreement.
agreement that exists between us. I had to vent with somebody. I can't believe what this woman has done to me. How do we sort this thing out? Wasn't this supposed to be a family affair? Did anybody speak to you, mom, dad? Does anybody know anything? Because I don't know something about this.
Yeah.
My wife hasn't told me anything about this.
Uyayibuza kumama notata.
Yeah?
Bro, uzayibuza
No, not
kubani?
because it's a snitch or I'm telling on her, but I'm saying we have a family situation here, right?
Structure.
Which is beyond me and my capacity to resolve it. Just like when I say ndifuna umfazi, is it wrong of me to go and speak to my parents to say mama no dada ndifuna umfazi? It's a jurisdiction. We should understand the extent of the damage or the consequences that ensue after we have done certain things,
The
right?
same wife I asked you to go and find me has gone behind my back and done this.
Or I could decide that I want to do away with this woman. And then my parents could be the ones that actually say, no, Mfana, that's not how we do things here. You understand? So understand that, you know, we Umntu ngumntu ngabantu.
Yeah.
Right? You can't just decide
Yeah.
that this thing cannot be extended beyond to the community or to the family. No. This is the kind of a problem that should involve families.
Yeah.
It cannot be minimized to just a husband and wife affair.
Yeah. It doesn't end with husband and wife problem.
No.
It goes
All right.
beyond.
I hold very different views on the involvement of third parties, hence my thing of, but
Yeah.
I understand.
I can understand with certain problems.
It's a part
yes.
2, this one.
But with
this
this
one
one,
needs a part 2.
this one, kumnombo.
I know. Sorry. Excuse I guys.
All right,
Specific-
guys.
Too much.
This was a bit.
Too much.
All right, guys. I feel like maybe our responsibilities first to the navigator that actually shared the story with us.
Yeah.
Maybe we are not here to claim or to proclaim that we have answers to every question. No. I think we are here to just interrogate the elements of every story. We do. Sit here and admit today that kuningi bandla, and given what was shared and in the context of everything that we've discussed, we also understand our limitations with understanding the situations in its entirety. But we do wish you luck, and I do still sit strongly against thinking it's an untenable situation. I still want to say, I migrate from obviously the thought that, the saying that says, if you change the way we look at things, the things we look at also change. I feel like we need to breathe life into how you are assessing the situation, because unfortunately, nobody can turn a past. Nobody can change something that's already happened.
Yeah.
But we can all heal from every trauma that we've been through. And we are genuinely sorry that this has been your experience. Most of it, I do want to assure you, is an injury to an ego. And an ego is not something that can be physically touched or assessed. I think if we are able to change the definition of who we are at that level, we can, and we do possess the capability to overcome every challenge. This is but one challenge in your journey. May you find light and may you find love in it. Okay. Gentlemen, thank you so much for hosting this conversation with us.
Mad love for you, man.
We've only tried, and this has been our best. Thank you so much for trusting us with your stories and your realities. Thank you for being navigators and keeping up with us. It is a wrap.